Hey, what's up, guys? Chris Nelson here, coming to you from my truck studio. Because I don't have a fancy studio like Tim Pool does. Well, actually, now I do. There may be a fancy studio coming. Just getting the time to actually get down there with all my other things, that'll be the tough part. But I'm doing this stream, and Merry Christmas, everybody. I'm doing this stream, and please like and share because a new report came out today about two online personalities that you may not have heard of, because apparently a lot of other people haven't heard of these guys. Okay. So you probably haven't heard of them. Their names are Tim Pool and Jack Posobiec. Okay. And this is who Tim Pool is. If you're wondering who he is, I will show you right now who Tim Pool is, so you can get an idea for who he is. Okay, let's roll tape.
With the dictionary definition of the word bigot.
You are the oppressor!
All right, have a good day.
Bro, you come near me ever again, you won't have any teeth. You understand that?
I understand.
Don't fucking touch me.
We have
Come here. You wanna know why I fucking wear the hat? So these motherfuckers can't fucking recognize me when I'm on the street. You wanna take a picture of me so I'm easily identifiable? There's no photos of me without this.
You can, and you
won't.
can!
All right,
Dictionary
so
definition
there's
of the word
Tim
bigot.
Pool. That's who he is. Okay, he is a he's a short little bald guy, and he doesn't like the fact that people know he's bald. Okay, and he has a podcast called Timcast. Okay, and this show, I mean, if you look the YouTube, it gets a lot of hits. So you think that this man is quite influential. He's got a big following on Twitter. And there he is right there, next to Charlie Kirk. He's the guy in the little beanie and the capris. And I guess that's who is going to be leading the upcoming MAGA civil war, because people are very upset that Trump is being challenged on these ballots. So the thought of civil war is coming up. So apparently this is who your generals will be marching in a battle. I mean, they might as well be MacArthur and Patton, and these is who they are. But what these guys are, okay, is that they're commentators. They all have their podcasts. Charlie Kirk has Turning Point USA, and the main thing. Well, let's just go to the article, okay? Let's go to. Here we go, Mediaite, which I mean, Mediaite has been pretty down the middle. I mean, they're I don't think you could consider Mediaite. I need to take down Twitter and then put up the. All right, here we go. Mediaite. Here we go. Okay. All right, here they are. All right. So, according to a poll, and we all know that the polls are biblical truth, guys. Okay. And these two, they're very strong Trump supporters. Okay, that's the number one thing to know about these two guys. Very strong Trump supporters, and they have been very much pushing the polls. Okay, and pushing these polls, and saying that the polls showing that Donald Trump is just creaming Ron DeSantis everywhere. And they've been singing the praises of these polls this whole campaign. That's been the centerpiece of the whole campaign. Well, here's a poll. For you. Isaac Shore. Republicans don't know or trust far-right influencers like Jack Posobiec and Tim Pool. All right, you guys want to live by the polls? Well, here's a poll for you. All right, I'll try to get you guys comments up on the screen. I got some people commenting, but let's go ahead and just look at this story and what it says, because some of you might go, "Oh, gee, well, I know who Tim Pool is." But the question is, do other people know or trust these two? Okay. Because if you're not on X, formerly Twitter, you don't know that there's been this influencer war going on between the paid professional uh, podcast hosts like these two guys and the guys like me that aren't paid, that are just basically voters. And you can donate to me, by the way, if you want to. You can do that to help me with my work, but I don't get paid professionally. These guys do. This is their livelihood, okay? And they've taken it upon themselves to have this war with just a lot of regular voters who have risen up on the Twitter platform, some anonymous, some use their real names, that have just come out as an army, really backing Ron DeSantis. And these guys have taken it upon them to basically launch a war against us. I've been called out by Tim Pool by name and accused of being paid by Ron DeSantis and stuff like that. But let's go ahead and read what this article says. Okay, much has been made of online influencers' role in the Republican presidential primary, but a new set of poll results from WPA Intelligence obtained by Mediaite cast doubt on just how much sway this cohort has. As I've been saying, the real world is not what you see on Twitter, okay? The survey measured the name recognition and trust in 4 right of center commentators, okay? So they're going, well, look at this. Look, this is stupid. And we'll get to their idiotic responses in a minute, but you can tell this by looking at these guys. You know, this is who this is your Trump influencer today. People that are right of center. So, okay, right wing, Tim Pool's like, well, I'm not right wing. Okay, this poll was done. People that are right of center. Tim, look, you can say whatever the hell you want, but you're right of center. Okay, you're right of center today. You might be left of center next month, depending on which way the wind blows. But as of today, you are right of center. Okay. Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens, both the Daily Wire, as well as independent podcaster Tim Pool and Human Events senior editor Jack Posobiec. The results found that a strong majority of Americans, even of every political affiliation, not just Republicans, were aware of Shapiro and Owens. Shapiro was known by 70% of Republicans, 76% of independents, and 59% of Democrats, while 63% of Republicans, 62% of independents, and 54% of Democrats know of Owens. On the other hand, Posobiec is unknown to 72% of Americans. Oh, gee, how about that? And even less popular to Republicans, 75% whom don't know who he is. 75% of Republicans don't know who you are, Jack. And I've been saying this, I've been saying this, and that guys just don't know who these guys. Actually, my wife's been the one who's telling me, she's like, Chris, your little Twitter world is not reality, okay? It's a very small group of people. It's a very small, loud group of people. And yeah, Tim is bald underneath. Yes, he is. Why doesn't he just take it off? I mean, just give it up already. All right. So Republicans also, here's how it goes on. Okay, the same is true of Pool. 69% of Americans and 74% of Republicans have never heard of him. Republicans also have a lot less faith in Pool and Posobiec than they do in Shapiro and Owens. 47% of Republicans says they trust Shapiro and 45% trust Owens. That number may be dipping in the future, but Candace, pay attention to that. Look at where you are with Shapiro. Look, 45%. Candace, do you want to be down do you want to lose your credibility? Because it seems like you got a lot of credibility here, Candace, according to this poll. I believe it because she's been tied to Shapiro. And I think Candace has done and said good things in the past. There's just now that's I believe it. Okay. For Posobiec and Pool, those numbers are 10 and 8% respectively. 10 and 8% do not trust you. They do not trust you. Okay. But it gets still worse. Only 3% of Republicans trust Posobiec and 1% trust Poole a lot. Moreover, even among the online right, that is Trump voters who get most of their news online, over 70% have never heard of either influencer, and only 6% of them place a lot of trust in Posobiec, and 3% of the do for Poole. All right. So look, Posobiec has been a prominent advocate for a number of conspiracy theories, Pizzagate, all the Q stuff, whatever. Basically, with Posobiec, whatever the current thing is, he'll change his screen name to it. He'll hop onto it and insert himself into it. And whatever the big thing is, if it's boycotting Target, he's boycotting Target. If it's, oh, now we got to shop at Target, he'll be all for shopping at Target. If it's now we're protesting the mask, oh, we're protesting the mask. But if now we want masks, then he's on board with that. It's whatever the thing is right now that everybody's pushing, that's what Posobiec. He'll even change his screen name to match it, and he'll basically act like he's the one that's leading the whole thing. Even though I never saw any of these guys at any of the COVID civil disobedience or any of these things. These guys, they hide behind their keyboards. They're never to be found in public, and except for Turning Point USA events, of course. And it was Poole who just had Tucker Carlson up on stage, and Poole that's been crying and pissing and moaning nonstop about online DeSantis supporters going, we are the best. It's DeSantis I kind of like, but his online team, they're the mean ones, and they're making him look bad, and they're tanking his campaign. And he's been going on and on that DeSantis needs to fire Christina Pushaw and blah blah blah. So, and then they carry on like this. Now let's just go, okay, and let's go and see what their reactions are. Okay, let's see what's up. Oh, what's up, guys watching? Hey, everybody, share this around. This is going to be a quick video. Okay, so let's go back to Twitter to see what the reactions are, because I want to give you what my theory is on this. And look, it even says down here, I don't believe this, but Trump seems poised to reprise his role as a GOP nominee for president next year. But despite their prominence on social media, his on-flying influencer army would have appeared to have next to nothing to do with his success. Guys, you're not as important as you think. I've never, said that does anyone trust Chris Nelson, the breathe and getter? That's up to you guys. That's up to you. But I'll tell you this though. I don't have a hyperinflated view of my importance. All right, look at me. I'm broadcasting from a truck right now. Okay, I do not have a hyperinflated view of what I'm of how I might be helping or hurting the DeSantis campaign. I just commentate and I speak on things, and I'm a voter, okay? And I like to get opinions, share opinions, hear opinions. Oh, thank you, David. I trust Chris Nelson. Put a poll up in here. Do you trust Tim Poole or Chris Nelson? But Tim Poole has griped about me publicly on his show before. Okay, I hit a nerve with him before. And but these guys, they run around and they push these polls all day long, okay? And they say that these polls are showing that Trump's gonna win and DeSantis should just shut up and go away and back Trump. Okay, well, let me tell you. All right, let me tell you a little theory as to why people don't trust these guys. Okay? Let me tell you why people don't trust these guys. Because they were let's first go over to Timcast. Okay, what's he saying? They're two crying. Oh my goodness, these two guys that no one knows have made us so upset. We're going to spend time and money polling them and writing a story about them. They also have no influence. Nobody knows them. Gotta read it. Oh, okay. So they did it like they did like, look, we're so unimportant that they did a poll about it. So the hilarious nature of it, a poll two guys never heard of, resulting in a story. Who the fuck do they think is going to read the poll? The hilarious nature about a poll of two guys. This poll actually makes me feel famous, says Tim. Who are they trying to convince that Jack and I have no influence? Total window licker move. These people are retarded. And then Trump's little creep paid influencer here, Alex Bruzowitz, weighs in. If influencers had no impact on this race, why did DeSantis just pay the poll of the popularity of influencers? Oh, now these polls are paid for. Oh, the polls that you guys hold so dear to your hearts that are basically like the Bible. Promo code who? That's a promo code who? Are now paid for, and now now the polls are untrustworthy. Oh yeah, right, Alex. Oh God, why did DeSantis have his staff fight with influencers all day, every day for 11 months? Pro-Trump influence led friend-free and Ron's tiny head. First, I don't think Ron DeSantis has a tiny head. Oh, WNBA intelligence got back to him. Look. We never said influencers have no impact. Our poll clearly shows that some of them, including a conservative media personality backing Trump in the primary, are very popular. Duh, Candace Owens. The poll shows that people, for some reason, I think it's because she's connected to Daily Wire, and I know this things about Candace with her state on Israel and what she's been saying about DeSantis that I vehemently disagree with. But in the past, I have been in very strong agreement with Candace Owens on some things, okay? And also, the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro have integrity, okay? And that's what it comes down to, guys, okay? Others are not as influential. See, you're not as influential, Jack. You're not as influential, all right? He's not saying that all influencers aren't influential. It's just you guys that aren't. And if you want to hear this, guys, let's go through their meltdown. Let's go through the rest of their meltdown really quick. Because they don't care. They don't care. This poll is so stupid and it doesn't matter, but it cares much for me to tweet about it 1,000 times. Well, good. I'm not a Republican and don't like Republicans, so this actually helps move my point. Media is lying about my politics. Tim, your politics are whatever the flavor of the week is. That's why nobody trusts you. Look, I can't say why Trump is ahead in so many of these polls and DeSantis isn't. I don't have any hyperinflated view that by me coming on here and talking that I'm somehow going to be a make or break for this campaign, or that by me owning Tim Pool or owning the libs or making just the funniest, greatest meme about them is going to sway people in this election so much that they're going to choose. I'd love to go live in Iowa on January 15th. That they're going to choose DeSantis over Trump because of what Chris Nelson said, and that people in Iowa are going to the polls. Of course, if I do walk into a room with DeSantis supporters, a bunch of people say hi to me, say what's up. All right, and I say hi to you. What's up? All right, but I don't have this. This is an ego trip here. Okay, let me tell you. I know this is a problem with giant egos. Okay, Dr. Dre wrote a song about it. Okay. It's called Big Egos, okay? And it really goes along. I mean, the Dr. Dre song that's about those with big egos. This is what is going on here with these guys. We're dealing with big egos, okay? These guys routinely say that they are that they are owning DeSantis influencers, that this is why the polls are where they are. It's because of people like them, and that and they're the ones doing this and stuff. Well, and I've said all along that, look, what happens here on Twitter, what's going on in podcast world, it's just not. It's not having the kind of impact that these guys think. Yet Tim's losing his mind over this. If it didn't hit close to home, he would laugh it off. All right. Posobiec, even worse. Let's go over to this. I mean, Posobiec is just, and this is him right here, since most of you have never heard of him. Okay, there he is with the sunglasses, and people, you might as well carry around a sign that says "I'm an idiot" if you have a picture of you on Timcast IRL as your profile pic. All right. All right, so let's go to Posobiec's meltdown, because this guy, I think I'm pretty addicted to Twitter, but this guy, it takes it to a whole other level. And so all his fans are making him feel better. That I can't believe Team DeSantis is now labeled Timcast is far right. What did Team DeSantis? Number one, Tim Pool is on the right now. I don't care what he's now preaching far right positions. I know in the past he was a Bernie bro, okay? Just like Trump used to be a Democrat. But right now he's preaching Trumpism and all these bad things I'm gonna Trump, and he's anti-wokeness. That's why I used to like Tim Pool. I used to listen to Tim Pool in 2022. I thought he was pretty good. I liked what he had to say about wokeness. I liked what he had to say about Biden preaching to his cult. I think that because when Rush Limbaugh died, I really, nobody replaced Rush. Rush was he's who I listen to every day. I think Rush was the most trustworthy guy. If you tested a poll right now, when Rush was alive, everybody would have said they listened to Rush. When he died, it was something that he's a person who will never be replaced. Okay. But I would find people here and there, and Tim Pool, actually, believe it or not, I thought he was extrapolating things and having a good take on certain things. He would talk about how Biden was when he would push the vaccine, he was just talking to his cult, which is ironic because now we got the Trump cult, but Tim Pool doesn't recognize that, and I thought he was pretty good. But we'll go on the rest of the. Okay, so Posobiec's meltdown, blah 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 blah. Okay, they're carrying on. I hear his pillows are lumpy. Yes, Jack. My pillows are lumpy. Okay, they are famously lumpy. And he pushes his My Pillow promo code. Mike Lindell, my pillows aren't lumpy. This is a Ron DeSantis conspiracy. Ron DeSantis is conspiring with Libby Locke to spread vicious rumors about My Pillow, saying that My Pillow is lumpy. And how dare you? He sued My Pillow. That guy, Mike Lindell is. I like to see him. Does anybody know? This goes for Cat Turd too. Nobody knows who he is. Nobody knows these guys. They have their little bubble of influence, but it's really getting outside that bubble of influence. Okay, that's the hard thing to do, and these guys don't do it. All right. Never back down window lickers is so triggered at me they ran a poll saying I had no influence. So little influence, you're torching the little money you have left to raise my name ID. Thanks for the rent free. Chris Wilson, head of data, never back down. Okay, so I guess he was a pollster with WPA Intelligence. Is that what he's saying? What's funny is these guys put out polls on a regular basis that are either paid for by media outlets that are untrustworthy, paid for by Rich Barris, paid for by that guy with a bow tie, who looks like the Trafalgar guy, the guy in that little bow tie. These guys, they push these things out, okay? And they look. Here's the thing, you guys. All right, you want to attack the pollsters now? They were. Oh no, you can't attack pollsters when it was Trump. When we're talking about the polls showing Trump win. You can't have it both ways. All right. Oh, look, you can track back to pinpoint exactly when WPA started taking DeSantis money. So now he's blaming the poll and all. Oh, that backfired, man. And this is hilarious. This guy, Rich Barris, okay? Total waste of money at this point in this campaign. Oh, the polls don't matter now, Rich. The polls don't matter, huh? All right. So let me tell you and give you an example why nobody trusts these guys, okay? Before Ron DeSantis decided to run for president, okay? He was a pretty decent governor here in Florida. I don't know if you knew this, all right? And people like Posobiec and people like Tim Pool would sing the praises of Governor Ron DeSantis, all right? They would sing their praises all the time, all right? And okay, let's all right. Here is what people like Posobiec, and there's Kirk, and there's Candace Owens there, okay? This is what they had to say about Ron DeSantis. Wait, am I muted? Okay, now. This is what they had to say about Ron DeSantis in 2022. All right.
Such an incredible leader. And I mean, that's what Americans want, right? Is just a leader that actually speaks for them. And I think we're seeing that very beautifully with this election.
Yeah, I mean, it's
That's
just
not
incredible.
Candace Owens,
To me, the main thing that DeSantis does, it's the fact that he listens to the voters, he hears them, but he actually delivers on the issues that matter to them, period. That's the key difference, because we've heard so many other leaders, and Democrats and Republicans, you can say this for both of them. They'll listen, they say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. They never follow through. All Ron DeSantis does is follow through.
Such an incredible leader. And I mean, that's what Americans want, right? Is just.
And I obviously know that's another babe. That's not Candace Owens, but there you go. That was Posobiec there. Okay. That's him in 2022. All right. So then what happened at some point in there? Okay. At some point, they decided that that they were not going to talk about Ron DeSantis anymore in that positive way. Okay. All right. I hope I retweeted this here. Here we go. Okay. Here is Tim Pool. Here is an example of Tim Pool. November 10th, 2022. Trump crying about DeSantis right now on Truth Social makes him look weak as F. Okay. This is what they were saying. They were talking exactly like the influencers like me, I guess, and the rest of that they attack nonstop now. All right. They were talking just like us. They were criticizing Trump for warp speed. They were criticizing Trump for his crybaby sessions. They were talking about wanting to move on. They were talking about DeSantis as being this great presidential possibility. They were big on him. They were very, very pro DeSantis. Benny Johnson's another one. And I bet he'd fit into this category of nobody knows who the hell he is. And DeSantis was great at that point. Then sometime between March and May of 2023, Ron DeSantis became the great embargo of Ron DeSantis started. Okay. That's what I call it. The great embargo of Ron DeSantis started. All right. Hold on a second. I'm looking for. Here it is. Okay. The great embargo of Ron DeSantis started. All right. And suddenly these guys were not speaking his name and or covering anything he was doing. They went from covering all the things he did and to not covering anything he was doing. Nothing. He was now just, we're not talking about him anymore. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. I wonder why. And it came down to Hurricane Idalia. Okay. Now, Hurricane Ian is something that happened in 2022. And it was devastating to the west coast of Florida. And DeSantis handled this hurricane. The Democrats wanted to be able to say DeSantis botched this. They were ready to go to find any little thing because it was an election year. He was running for governor. If you don't remember, Ron DeSantis just won a historical re-election to governor. Okay, and the Democrats were looking for anything to attack DeSantis on, like any way with this hurricane. But he handled this thing so well that they had nothing to go at him on. He had a bridge rebuilt, okay? He had a bridge rebuilt in 3 days, okay, that had been knocked down, the Sanibel Causeway Bridge. All right? And I might be cutting in and out a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right. They were all praising him. They were all talking about what a great job he did covering his press conferences. This goes for Matt Gaetz. This goes into politicians in Florida too. Matt Gaetz, Byron Donalds, all these guys, they were covering, and those guys have a freaking responsibility to do it. They live in Florida. They're public officials. They were playing with people's lives, okay? These guys decided to put politics above people's lives, and I was pissed off about it. Because when Idalia came along, we had a hurricane this year as well that whacked the Big Bend area. That's like the armpit of Florida. You know, oh no, now I'm offending everybody in the Big Bend. Okay, I'm not saying it stinks up there or anything about the people up there. Okay, I don't know who Jimmy Banks is. I heard you guys talking about Jimmy Banks. But I actually follow that career. I don't know who Jimmy Banks is. But it hit the Big Bend, and it hit the key up there, and it did devastation up there. All right, and Ron DeSantis, he immediately temporarily suspended his campaign. He came right back to Florida. And then he went into governor mode. He went into hurricane mode, and I love watching him in disaster mode. If you've ever seen DeSantis in disaster mode, I mean, he is just he does things in a way that I have never seen a public official do before. I mean, full disaster mode. He comes back. He's got his disaster coat on. He's in the disaster command center, and handles this hurricane. And he's putting out these warnings and stuff like this every day. Well, I notice Byron Donalds, Matt Gaetz, and then shame on them, but the influencers too. You know, the influencers like Tim and all these guys, Benny Johnson, who lives down here, DC Drano, Rogan O'Hanley, a lot of these guys that freaking moved to Florida because of Ron DeSantis, that were covering every move he did in the last hurricane. They completely just said, no, we're not. They stopped. They weren't covering it at all. Weren't covering anything he was saying or doing. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And I figured this is coordinated. When there's more than one person that are all suddenly did something last year and now they're on the same page, not doing it anymore, it truly appeared that the word came down from Mar-a-Lago that you are now not allowed to talk positively about Ron DeSantis anymore. And this came after all those congressmen, shame on them, Gaetz and Byron Donalds, all these people, the Florida Sucks caucus, went down to Mar-a-Lago and kissed Trump's ring and took that picture with him and his bag lady, Susie Wiles, okay, who basically, if you don't know who Susie Wiles is, she's the lobbyist for the Chinese firms that basically runs the show at Mar-a-Lago. That's who Susie Wiles is. After that dinner, it was great embargo on Ron DeSantis. You can't speak the name of Ron DeSantis anymore. If that wasn't what happened, it sure as hell looked that way. So I started calling these guys out on it. From my small Twitter account, started calling these guys out on it. I don't have Tim Pool has all these millions of followers, which is interesting. These guys have so many millions of followers, but nobody knows who they are. So kind of makes me wonder about their followers. Okay. I'm more about the active followers than just having this number sitting at the top of my 1 million. Great. You know, who are those million? How many of those are actually active on Twitter at this point? I would much rather have a smaller, more active follower count. But anyway, I put out a tweet. Somebody sent me that they had searched all of these people for mentions of Hurricane Idalia, from Charlie Kirk to Matt Gaetz to Kerry Lake to Raheem Kassam to Vivek Ramaswamy, who's part of the Trump campaign, from Jason Miller, Trump scumbag guy that never pays his child support, Jack Posobiec, Alex Bruzowitz, all these people that were praising Ron DeSantis before, and I put this tweet out, and it showing that none of them were talking about Hurricane Idalia. Well, this sure as heck hit a nerve with these guys, because this went viral. This tweet almost got 1 million views, and Tim Pool even had this to say about me on his show.
Chris Nelson, here's I'm going to give you my assumption of this guy. His profile is indie reporter, saved by God's grace, updates on Ron DeSantis and Florida news. I think this guy's a fake journalist that is running a sock puppet scam for the DeSantis campaign. But let me clarify once again. What I mean is masquerading as an independent reporter, but just being fed talking points by the DeSantis camp to promote Ron DeSantis. It is the worst and most pathetic communications attempt I've seen.
It triggered you, Tim. Every one of these scumbags, many of them live in Florida due to Governor DeSantis' COVID policy, have not mentioned a word about Hurricane Idalia. Some of them are elected officials. I was mad this day. The hell with them all. Get the hell out of the state of Florida. I was mad at them because I was like, what the hell? I was mad because they were putting lives in danger, in my opinion. Okay? Because these guys were, I was mad. I was like, put politics aside. We got a hurricane coming here. Let's get this information out. You guys have big audiences. You guys are really gonna not put information out about a hurricane because that could save lives, because you are it's because the governor is somebody who is somebody that you don't are politically against. That's what Democrats do. Okay, that's what people, and this shows who they are. So, Tim, am I a sock puppet account? Do I look like a sock puppet? They always tell you who they are. Okay, they tell you who they are.
Chris Nelson,
Tim Pool.
I'm going to give you my assumption of this guy.
Here's a reality.
His profile is indie reporter, saved by God's grace, updates on Ron DeSantis and Florida news. I think this guy's a fake journalist that is running a sock puppet scam for the DeSantis campaign. But let me clarify once again. What I mean is masquerading as an independent reporter, but just being fed talking points by the DeSantis camp to promote Ron DeSantis. It is the worst and most pathetic communications attempt I've seen.
Triggered you. Okay. So I triggered this guy so much that he comes out and really, I mean, these are smears. This is like slander. I mean, this is, claiming that I get talking points from the DeSantis campaign with no proof of it. I don't. Okay. I've never said I was a journalist once in my life. Okay. Reporter. All right. Because I report on stuff. I don't see myself as any different from any of these guys, commentator, reporter on Twitter. I report things. My flood coverage of that flood in April, go back to it, was some of the best freaking coverage around. Other news organizations from all over the place rely on my coverage on these things. But I also have opinions, okay? And I got an opinion about you, Tim, and I'll tell you what it is. Exactly what you just said about me there, Tim, I think is going on with you. I think you're a sock puppet for the Trump campaign. I think you're being fed talking points, and I think all of you guys were told you're not allowed to talk about Ron DeSantis anymore, even though you put lives at risk by not doing that, by not, because look, if Trump was the governor of Florida and I hated that SOB, which I do, and a hurricane was coming and he was making preparations for it, I might be critical of him, but I'm not going to put an embargo on him. And what does that say about Ron DeSantis? What does that say? That they, because they could have said, okay, we're going to criticize him on this. We're going to criticize this guy. No, but they didn't. They didn't criticize him on his handling of the hurricane. Maybe they did on a couple things, but they decided when the hurricane was coming. This is before the hurricane hit. Okay, this is when the hurricane was coming. All the alerts were going out, and DeSantis was in the emergency command center doing his press conferences like he always does when a hurricane's coming, giving updates, non-political, saying how to help, working with Democrats, working with Republicans. This is when he's in hurricane mode, man. He's not in political mode right now. The campaign's on hold. Now he's in governing mode, and he was doing all this stuff. That's when these guys were ignoring him. All right? And I was upset about it. As a reporter, I was upset about it because I'm like, okay, guys, look, Tim, I know we're different on politics. You loved Ron DeSantis until like 5 minutes ago, and now he's the worst thing on the planet. According to you, but let's put that aside, because in a hurricane, this is tradition in Florida. In a hurricane, you put politics aside. In a terrorist attack, you put politics aside. But they didn't do this, and that made me mad. And this is when they started going on their whining crybaby spree about DeSantis online influencers, that we're hurting his campaign, and saying that we're being fed talking points by Christina Pushaw, and like I wake up and I get this. Could you imagine that? Let me tell you, screw that. If the DeSantis campaign ever tried to feed me talking points, I would be like, oh gee, I guess you guys aren't who I thought you were. They've never done that. Let me tell you what they have done, though. Let me tell you what the DeSantis people have done. They treated me with respect. They have they've come to my defense when I've been unfairly smeared, and they've done it for a lot of you too. They've always been honest with me. They've always come through saying what they're going to do. Even the times that I reached out to them and I said, can you get back to me on this? And they weren't able to do it right away. I've been trying to get an interview with Ron DeSantis for a long time. I just haven't. But if you look at all the times I've asked him questions, I've pretty much done an interview with him. But they're honest with me. They're like, okay, Chris, we can't do that. We can't, or it'll take like a day to get back on this. But actually, I don't think it ever takes a day for them to get back. They're the most professional people I have ever worked with in my life. Okay. They're the most wonderful professional people I've ever worked with. This guy, on the other hand, and let me just wrap it up with this, because I'm going to tell you why. All right. I'm going to tell you why. Posobiec and Tim Pool, you two specifically, why people don't trust you. Okay. It's because of the thing like with the Hurricane Idalia thing. All right. I can't help that people have never heard of you. I think that's a good thing. Okay. Oh, Tim was, I told Tim I'd go on his show many times. They were trying to get Christina Pushaw on. They were trying to, they thought I had some kind of like special connection there, and so they were trying to like schmooze me back in 2022 to try to, or early 2023, to try to say, oh, Chris, you come on the show and bring Christina with you. But as soon as Christina said no, wise woman right there, then they didn't care about me anymore. But no, Tim is happy to smear me on his show and not have me on, because after he did that, I said, okay, Tim, have me on, and nothing back. His producer and the person that does the booking is Cassandra Fairbanks, who's a just Google her and you'll find out everything. You know, she's very anti-Israel, not a very good person. Okay. And she was texting with me, and I said, hey, you know, you want to have me on, but he's not going to have me on, and I don't really at this point care to go on. I mean, but nobody's ever heard of him anyway. No, but you know, I would just say this same stuff to him. If I was just talking to this goofball on his show, I would say the same stuff to him. He likes having people on though that are going to lick his butt and stuff like that. I guess what host doesn't, but why do the few people that know who these guys are, and they can make whatever excuses they want. They can say, oh, the poll was rigged. They can say that that, oh, I'm really not a Republican, so it doesn't matter. But this poll results was really about all people. It covered Democrats, Republicans, all, and just about right-leaning people, which is what Tim Pool is right now. Why people don't trust you, Tim, and why people don't trust you, Jack, is because you are inconsistent and you have no integrity and you're hypocrites. Okay. What do I mean by that? The word hypocrite comes from the word hypocritos. Okay. You remember those guys, or you don't remember them, but there used to have plays before they had cell phones and stuff like that. They used to have Greek plays where people would walk around with these masks on sticks. Okay. And they would play even a man might play a woman, and they would play a role, and they would take the mask, they'd put it up, they'd get another mask, and they're playing a different guy. Now I'm playing this guy, and they would use different masks for different roles. That's where the word hypocrite comes from. Okay. And that's what these guys do. You go completely gung-ho, you love Ron DeSantis in 2022, but then in 2023, suddenly at the same time, all you guys are just railing on him all day long, calling him sanctimonious, attacking his supporters, and just being assholes to DeSantis and all his people. And you don't think that people, that the few that know who you are, because to me, the biggest number on there is not just the fact that most people don't know who these guys are. But the thing is the people that do know who they are don't trust them, because you've lost that trust, guys. You've broken that trust. You broke that trust because you weren't consistent, and you showed that you it shows people you don't really believe what you say you believe. I don't know what either one of you guys believe. These guys like this love labels for themselves. I'm a paleo liberal conservative, neo paleo anarcho conservative. You know, they have, you know what I'm talking about? They have all these like weird names for themselves. I don't need to put a label on myself. But these guys, they always have that kind of thing, and then and then when somebody says they're one thing, they go, "Oh no, I'm not. I'm not really a liberal. I'm a classical neo-paleo liberal." You know, they're those kind of guys, and what they really mean is they're whatever they need to be for whatever audience they need. And everybody saw that. Everybody saw how you guys were all about DeSantis and all one way in 2022, but then sold your principles right out the window when you needed to back another political candidate. That's why they don't trust you. Okay. And I don't think you're ever going to get that trust back. By the way, that leaves the door open for a lot of other people. I see John Burke out there. I see Jenna Ellis out there. I see Shannon Joy out there. And I see a new group of podcasters and people that are telling the truth, and they're going to take you guys' place because people don't trust. You've broken that trust. You didn't have to back Ron DeSantis, but you could have been consistent. And let me tell you, Ben Shapiro has been consistent. Okay. Ben Shapiro. All right. He's not been all gung-ho for DeSantis, but he hasn't lied. He hasn't attacked DeSantis. He hasn't he didn't do the great embargo on DeSantis. He wasn't as, him and Matt Walsh weren't as enthusiastic as I would hope, but of course, because I backed DeSantis, so I want them to be enthusiastic. But what did Ben Shapiro do? Okay. He stayed consistent. He's covered Trump good, but he's covered DeSantis fairly. All right. Thank you, April, for your kind comment. He has I'm glad you know who I am now. He has said, oh wait, what just happened? Thank you. Thank you. Did that just, oh, you just gave me a thumbs up. That's what I did. I thought when I said thank you that maybe a thumbs up would come out. But Ben Shapiro stayed consistent, and because he has, and because he hasn't joined in that embargo, and he's been attacked for it, he retains his credibility. See, in this business, guys, I don't know if you know about this, but in this business, your reputation's what you got. Your reputation's everything. Okay? In the information business, you can either, like these polling agencies and these other, Breitbart, smeared their credibility. Okay? Your credibility takes hits when you print a story that's false, or when you do an attack that's false, or when you ignore something. People know that too. Your credibility in the information business takes a hit, and you guys' credibility is in the toilet right now. And I don't think you're ever getting it back. And whether Trump wins or loses, Trump's almost 80. And if he becomes president again, which he won't, it'll be 4 years. And you guys are younger. You guys got to go on. There's got to be life after Trump. But you were willing to sink your credibility because why? Trump told you to. You thought there was going to be there was some carrot at the end. Were you being compensated in some way? You felt that it made you a cool kid? You got invites to Mar-a-Lago? I don't know. DeSantis doesn't invite me to the governor's mansion or his vacation homes or something like that. He's not. DeSantis is too busy governing and actually campaigning. Because I don't know if you know, he's run. Trump doesn't seem to be running any campaign right now, except for this demagogue campaign from Mar-a-Lago. He's not debating. He's not doing anything. DeSantis is running his campaign and running the state, doing a damn good job of it. I know if DeSantis becomes president, I'm not going to be invited to cocktail parties and all these. Oh my goodness, I would like to DJ his. I would like to DJ his party, but look, his victory party. We got a country to save, guys, and we don't have time. These two screwballs and these guys are putting their own egos and their own desire to be important above the rest of the country. That's why you've lost credibility, guys. People notice that. This is Chris Nelson. Like and share, and thanks for watching.